Oregon State coach Jonathan Smith, is he the lead candidate for Michigan State? Why does it make sense for both parties involved? And then also, big game on Thanksgiving, Spartans versus Arizona Wildcats. We preview it. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in to a bonus episode of Locked On Spartans. Since this is a little Thanksgiving episode, we're not going to keep you away from the turkey, the stuffing, your family, your friends, or the football for too long. So this is just, a little shorter episode here. So 2 notes right off the top here, some programming notes. Tomorrow's episode on Friday or Thursday night on YouTube, that's going to be me and Zach Seiko of Locked On Nittany Lions. We're just going to preview Friday's game. So there's not going to be a recap instantly from this Michigan State-Arizona basketball game. We'll wait until the weekend, most likely Saturday, to get around to that. So just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here for that. And then, on today's episode, we're going to bat first, Jonathan Smith, and then batting second is going to be basketball here. Number 2. Well, it is a Thanksgiving season, so I genuinely want to thank each and every one of you. Whether this is your first episode you're watching, which, hey, welcome. My name is Matt Sheehan. I'm the host of Locked On Spartans, and maybe it's your first time watching because you're an Oregon State Beaver fan. I come in peace. I really respect your program. I like everything about it. I really like the head coach you have over there. I would like one of those here in East Lansing. Or if you've been an everyday listener for the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you enough. This has been quite the last few weeks here in Michigan State land. And really, hey, it's been a hoot and a half, all thanks to you guys as well. So let's get into the mix here. Jonathan Smith, we talked about him yesterday. We talked about Mike Elko yesterday. According to Spartans Illustrated, one of those two guys have the 50% chance to get the job here at Michigan State. And that's not a 50-50 split like Mike Elko's 50%, Jonathan Smith's the other 50%. What they mean is that it's a 50% shot. It's going to be one of those two guys. So we talked about Mike Elko a little bit, but hey, if you want to take Football Scoop's word for it, that's right. They came out with a piece earlier today on this beautiful Wednesday that, Michigan State has keyed in on their top target, and they have anointed the Beavers head coach, Jonathan Smith. That's right, as the lead candidate here. Now, we're going to get to 2 quotes right now. One from the athletic director of Oregon State, and then one we're just going to kind of paraphrase. We'll start with that one, actually. Jonathan Smith was asked about this in an interview of, hey, are you interviewing anywhere else? I was going to say kind of dodged the question, but it wasn't even a kind of. He just straight up did dodge the question and then hammered on it again. And then he said, well, hey, look, my agent is out there. He knows what's best. He's in the conversation. So there was no outright rejection when someone in Oregon State's brass asked him about, hey, are you looking elsewhere? Because we heard that you are confirmed to be heading to your second round of interviews over there in East Lansing. You want to squash those? And he did not take that opportunity to squash those. If anything, it kind of reemphasized that, yeah, he is definitely in the running for this Michigan State job. Now, Oregon State's vice president and athletic director, Scott Barnes, he said, quote, Coach Smith and I have had ongoing conversations for more than a month regarding his future at Oregon State and our path forward for football specifically and our athletic department generally. He has embraced our short and long-term plans. My number one priority is providing him with a new contract and guaranteed compensation that will help him continue the success of our football program that has benefited Oregon State University and Beavers athletics. Okay, that's great. That's fun. That's awesome. Sure. Yeah, the athletic director and the athletic department, they're trying to extend Jonathan Smith. Of course they are. Here's the interesting question I have. Why are you trying to? Why hasn't it already been done at this point? Like, you are at the last week of the regular season, and we all remember when things were just so rosy over here in East Lansing, 2021, admiring a really good season and admiring the head coach that is guiding us towards that Peach Bowl, Mel Tucker. That was taken care of in the middle of the season. It's not like Oregon State, just, all of a sudden, hey, we're good out of nowhere. Like, no, this has been a program build throughout the years that they may have, could have seen coming. And I get that they have way bigger fish to fry, like the whole conference realignment thing. don't get me wrong. I can see why they could be distracted with a few more things before they get to Jonathan Smith's contract. But yeah, I'm a little interested that, oh, yeah, we're having talks. Okay, that might not be optimistic news, actually, for Oregon State. So why does it make sense for both sides? Because as you guys may already know, many of you do already know this, Jonathan Smith isn't just, a kind of long-tenured head coach at Oregon State, long in today's college football standards at least. He's also an alum. He played quarterback at Oregon State as well. And why on earth would a guy want to leave his alma mater, especially after taking a few years to build this program up over there in Corvallis? Why on earth would he want to leave? It's kind of maybe sort of a easy answer. If you look up Oregon State 2024 football schedule, it's not a lot. It's Idaho State, it's at Boise State, and then it's Purdue. And it's a hard stop there. Who knows what's going to happen with realignment? Do they morph into the Mountain West? Does the Mountain West just become the Pac-12? Sure, things are going to change. In all reality, they're not going to end with a 3-game season next year, but there is a lot up in the air in Oregon State. Also, listen, it's all about the dollar bill, baby. And I know that Oregon State, they just completed a renovation on their stadium that was, I think, in the ballpark of $160 million, really upgraded their stadium. And that's why I feel sick for Oregon State fans, is that they not only built this program to become a competitor in the Pac-12, but they just did some serious overhauls to their stadium, their complexes as well. And then, oh, sorry, everyone's leaving. It's just you and the Washington State Cougars over there. So does Jonathan Smith want to coach in this new Mountain West Conference? Would that even be considered a Power 5 conference? By definition, yes. But let's be honest, if you absorb all those other teams, I'm not sure how serious a playoff committee is going to take you, for example. And also, dollars talk, man. I get that he's an alum. He's built this program. But also, let's not kid ourselves here. There's a few more resources here in East Lansing, and that's not just me, a Michigan State slappy, talking about that. Michigan State in revenue last year, 12th overall in the nation. All right, Oregon State, I think they're below the 50s. They spent somewhere in the ballpark, or had revenue in the ballpark of $85 million. Michigan State is a little more than double that right now. So if Jonathan Smith wants greener pastures, whether it's for money, resources, or just the outlook of college football, I'm sorry, Beaver fans, but it just makes sense to go. It can't be easy. It can't be easy leaving home. But with this much mystery going on in college football, specifically with Oregon State, oh, what's that? They're going to offer me $7 million a year. They have a brand new football building out there. They're actually in an established conference. Like, oh, you know what? You're welcome for building you guys a good program. Hopefully you can get a coach that can keep this thing running. I'm out of here. So that's why it makes sense for him. Now, why does it make sense for the Michigan State side of things? People do have some issues with how long it took Jonathan Smith to build that. This is how I'm going to make the case for Jonathan Smith, by taking some of the issues that he was given in at Oregon State. Like, for example, the knock on him is that, okay, great, it took him 5 years to build that program. Okay, he inherited it. Not a great situation here. A 1-11 team. And then from there, he goes 2-10, 5-7, 2-5 in that COVID year, 7-6, 10-3 last year. And then, of course, well on their way to another fantastic season in Corvallis, Oregon. And I don't mean this with disrespect, but like, to have, for the second year in a row, a top 20 program in the nation sitting in Corvallis, Oregon, that is amazing program building over there. Like, you are not getting the cream of the crop recruits over there, although the quarterback they just brought on, former top 100 guy. But by and large, you are not getting the top recruits in Pac-12 country. But yet, he's built one of the hardest-nosed teams, not just in that conference, but in the nation. All right, that style of play can more than translate to Big Ten football. That is Big Ten football, what they are playing over there. So, look, I know it took a while, but the situation that he inherited at Oregon State, with the lack of resources in comparison to everyone else in the Pac-12, it's wildly impressive he actually took 5 years to do that. Whereas at Michigan State, look, I know that things are not great right now. Back-to-back bowl game-less seasons. No one's having fun. I'm having a miserable time. But you know what? Michigan State has the resources. They have the infrastructure around their program that puts them in the top third of the Big Ten. Again, That's not just me, the Michigan State slappy speaking. That is what the money says, whether it is where the revenue's at the end of the year, or the brand new football building they just put up, or their commitment to top flight assistant pool pay in the nation. There's plenty of reason that Michigan State is a desirable location, and also why Jonathan Smith is a desirable coach. So yeah, that's where we're at with the Jonathan Smith thing. And who knows how close we are. Who knows if Football Scoop is correct, and that is Michigan State's top target right now. We can confirm that he is a top target, but the top target, who knows? For full transparency, it's Wednesday, 6:06 p.m. as I'm recording this, and I say that because anything can change just like that. It might even be changing now as I'm talking, but as things stand right now, that's where it's at with Jonathan Smith. Folks, we're going to switch it to the basketball court here in a hot second. I just need to talk your ears off about homefieldapparel.com. I'm rocking Homefield Friday at Ford Field. I'll be rocking Homefield because they are the greatest clothing brand out there for your collegiate sports teams. Oregon State, you guys have an incredible line of clothes over there at homefieldapparel.com. Michigan State fans, you guys already know that our homefieldapparel.com lineup is sick. They include logos that you may have never have seen in your life before, just like this basketball shirt that I'm wearing. Never in my life have I seen this anywhere in the world of Michigan State until this package showed up at my doorstep. So you're going to look great. And you're also going to feel great in your t-shirts, your long sleeve t-shirts, sweatshirt, hoodies, even the hats that they have on there are incredible. And, well, what's better than just looking and feeling good? How about saving some money? Because at homefieldapparel.com, when you smash in promo code Black Friday, you're going to get 20% off of your order. That's right. I'll say that one more time. Promo code Black Friday. All one word for 20% off at homefieldapparel.com. Now let's go over to the basketball court here because over at a Creasier Arena or a Creasier Center, somewhere in a beautiful place in the country where it is going to be sunny and not a miserable 40 degrees here like it is in Michigan, they're going to be playing a basketball game right after the football game on Fox against Arizona. Oh, God. Woo. A team that is top 5 in the country, any way you slice it. They beat Duke at Cameron Indoor. No one does that. So it's going to be a tall task, quite literally, for Michigan State. Before getting into what makes Arizona great, let's just talk about them from a broad standpoint. They are 5th in adjusted offensive efficiency. They have scored 100-plus points in 3 of their 5 games. Not too shabby. And they're also 25th in adjusted defensive efficiency as well. So what are they good at? Here are 3 things that Arizona is good at. The first one, get ready for this astute observation, being tall. That's right. Omar Ballo, 7-footer from Mali. And hey, we got someone from Mali on our team as well, Madi Sissoko. Omar and Madi, their towns are a 9-hour car ride from each other. I'm sure that'll be mentioned during the broadcast, but Omar Ballo, 12 points, 6 boards. He is terrible at free throws. I will say that. I mean, you listening to this podcast right now, probably a better free throw shooter than Mr. Ballo over there. So, hey, cool. Game gets tight. Ballo's in. Let's hack him. Let's do hack a Ballo. I think he's around like 50% on the season, which is great in theory. But how many people do you have in your front court where you could just burn up fouls like that? Like if Jackson Kohler was here, like, sweet. Go ahead and use those 5 fouls on Mr. Ballo over there. So that'll be interesting to see how they play him if it is a late tight game. And then the other tall guy. Oh, God, here we go for another pronunciation I will not nail. Mateusz Krivas, 7'2" freshman from Lithuania. And for those curious, that is a 90-hour car ride from Madi's town in Mali, in case you were keeping score on that at home. He also averages 12 and 6, just like Mr. Ballo. Now, of course, height isn't the only thing, but they are tall and they rebound pretty well. And I might even be selling it short there by saying pretty well. They are elite at rebounding. They are top 10 in the nation. They are 5th in offensive rebounding percentage, 6th in defensive rebounding percentage, and they out-rebounded Duke by 12 at that game at Cameron Indoor. Now, if you remember, Duke isn't like some great rebounding team this year. I think they're in like the 120th rankings as far as that goes, but still, Duke didn't like play terrible against Arizona. But man, when you're getting a dozen more boards, that's going to help you pull off the upset at Cameron Indoor. They're also shooting 41% from three-point land. There is some context to be added here, but Kylan Boswell, 68% shooter from 3. That's white hot. That will not be sustained the rest of the year, of course. No one can possibly end their year at 68% shooting. However, that's not to say he's not a great shooter. He was 39% last year. Pelle Larsson shooting 50% as well. Now, the context to add here, while they are a good three-point shooting team, they don't take a lot of three-pointers. They are 285th in the nation in three-point rate. And also, if you remember, Michigan Wolverine great Caleb Love has transferred there in the offseason, and he takes the most threes for the Wildcats, and he's just shooting 28%. Quite frankly, I'm going to knock on wood here. That man has never been a shooter in his entire career, but don't tell him that because he'll still shoot 6 or 7 a game. I don't know what he is seeing when he releases the ball from three-point land, but it ain't Steph Curry numbers, but he thinks so. Now that I've said that out loud, he will go 5 of 7 tomorrow from 3, so I'm very sorry about that. But yeah, that's the fact of the matter is that as a whole, Arizona percentage-wise is a really good three-point shooting team. They don't rely on it a ton, and their best shooter, or I guess their highest volume shooter, there we go, we'll do that, isn't shooting it that great. Now, one other thing Arizona does really well is pace. They push the pace. My God, they push the pace. They are 3rd in adjusted tempo this season. And this is an interesting stat for us Spartan fans. Michigan State, 328th in adjusted tempo so far this year. That is a far cry from where we thought Michigan State would be going into the season, especially after Izzo talked about, hey, we're going to start pushing the pace more. And not just, taking Izzo's word for it, but also looking at this roster, seeing how deep they are, seeing how they're made of a bunch of athletes on the court. Like, I do wonder if this is going to be a turning point game, whether it's because Arizona is dictating the pace or if it's just a strength for Michigan State. It'll be interesting to see if Michigan State can get out to running a little bit more. Now, that was a lot of reasons of why Arizona could win this game. So what is going Michigan State's way right here? If you look at barttorvik.com, it's the computer analytics website we reference all the time on here, barttorvik.com. Guys, they have Arizona favored by just 0.8 points. Not 8 points, 0.8 points. The computer says that this game is going to be a coin toss. Now, why is that? I'm going to try my best here, but Michigan State, their defensive efficiency is top 15 in the country. We've seen this be a calling card early on this season, whether it was even in that loss against James Madison, a team that likes to play fast. Michigan State grinded them down to late shot clock situations plenty of times. Can they do that with Arizona? Make life very uncomfortable. Caleb Love, good player, solid player. He does have a knack, though, in a few games to cough up the ball more than a handful of times. And with Tyson Walker on him, it could very well happen again. So Michigan State's defense is something to be looked at here as well. They're good at defending teams, not just on the perimeter, but also in the paint as well. So that's what I got for you. Also, Michigan State, they're shooting 37% from 3 in the last 2 games. You get Tyson Walker back, who was gone last game. I think they only gave him a 10% chance of living and making it out of the hospital, but he's going to make it, guys. Even though he was as sick as a dog against Alcorn State, he's going to be there as well to aid the three-point shooting as well. So what to watch for in this game? Other than, well, hopefully Michigan State can get a win, because this would erase a lot of our problems so far this season of the loss against Duke and especially that loss against James Madison, because this would be a bona fide quad 1 win right here. So other than that, what are we looking for? It's a lot of gut checks. It's a lot of seeing what is real so far this season. Like Trey Holloman, you just went 5 for 5 from 3 last game. We don't expect you to shoot perfect from behind the arc, but can you still continue to be a 3-point threat, especially against a team that doesn't just play in the SWAC? Like if you can do it against a good team, be a legitimate shooting threat off the bench, that's going to change the outlook of this season, because so far, Michigan State, whether it be for just scoring the basket or spacing, giving some more room in the lane, a 3-point shooter is going to be needed here. Malik, is this real? Because, hey, it wasn't a great start to the season for him against James Madison. However, 18 points against Duke. He put up 12 and 9 against Butler. Okay, Carson Cooper, is this actually going to work? I know that it's been a fun 2 games here with him as the starting center. Hasn't really been an offensive threat, but he is a menace on the boards so far. This is a tall task. No pun intended. This is a tall task coming up at 4 p.m. today. But, man, if he looks the part, then, okay, we can actually start getting really excited for that. AJ watch, AJ Hogard watch, it just rolls on. Who knows what AJ we're going to get? We usually figure out by the under 12 timeout in the first half, but that's been another storyline this year is just, hey, what AJ are we going to get today? And then, hey, Akins, Jaden Akins, are we rolling? Are we doing okay here? Because it's been a slow start to the season. He did have a solid performance against Alcorn State. And two reasons for that. One, it was Alcorn State. Okay, with all due respect, not the greatest team in the nation here. And then second, he may have benefited from Tyson Walker being sidelined last game. He was able to be more aggressive, maybe felt a more prominent role in that game here. But I will say this. Jaden Akins also had a really slow start last year too. I'm not worried about Akins. I'm just waiting for him to get the ball rolling because, again, go look at his game log from last year to start the season. Up until, I feel like it was mid-December, we're wondering, what is he going to be? Is he okay? Is he going to be fine this year? So we're seeing that again. And yes, he's put up some decent numbers in the box score, 11 and 8 against Duke. The 8 rebounds was great. The 11 points was fine. Just took him 11 shots to get there. And then against Butler, took 12 shots, only made 3 of them. So, hey, I know it's a slow start last year. I know it's a slow start this year. But we don't have to do this, Jaden. We can start performing here whenever you like. Hopefully it's in Palm Desert or Palm Springs, whatever Palm City that they're in for this game. That'd be nice. So yeah, that's the things that we're looking for is just, how much of this is real so far and what can we get excited about from the things that we've seen, whether it's Trey, Carson Cooper, for example. And just the classic stuff like, hey, what can the freshman give you? But, oh, man, I'm excited for this one. I'm going to make a clown of myself watching this, just ignoring all sorts of family and food and just watching this game. But I'm sure you guys will as well. Gang, have a great Thanksgiving. Truly, I want to reiterate it again. I am incredibly thankful for every single one of you that have watched, listened, reached out at LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com. You guys are simply the best. Love every single one of you guys. I know I end every episode like that, but that's not some quirky thing I say. I mean that, guys. You guys are the best. If you're at Ford Field Friday, hopefully we run into each other. It'll be a hoot and a half, gang. But until then, take care of yourself. Have a great and safe Thanksgiving. Love you all. Go